Hey, everybody. Hope you're having a great week in the Lord. Glad to have the devotional this week. Just realized I forgot to turn to the page, so I'm going to be doing that. Anyways, hope all is going well for you. I was going to just do a quick devotional on the passages that we read this morning. I hope those devotionals that you've been going through, some of you have. I hope it's been good for you. I know I've really been blessed, just going through the same passage all week and seeing the different ways that God's doing things and the things that Jesus is saying here. We looked at on Sunday, Matthew chapter 22, verses 1 through 14. I'll read it real quick and then just make a note of something that really has stuck out to me as I've gone through this. Verse number 1. And again, Jesus spoke to them in parables, saying, "The kingdom of heaven may be compared to a king who gave a wedding feast for his son." So notice what Jesus is doing in verse 2. He's helping people understand the kingdom of heaven. And he says in verse 3, and he sent his servants to call those who were invited to the wedding feast, but they would not come. Again, he sent other servants, saying, "Tell those who are invited, see, I've prepared my dinner, my oxen and my fat calves have been slaughtered, and everything is ready. Come to the wedding feast." But they paid no attention and went off, one to his farm, another to his business, while the rest seized the servants, treated them shamefully, and killed them. The king was angry, and he sent his troops and destroyed those murderers and burned their city. Then he said to his servants, "The wedding feast is ready, but those invited were not worthy. Go therefore to the main roads and invite to the wedding feast as many as you find." And those servants went out into the roads and gathered all whom they found, both bad and good. So the wedding hall was filled with guests. But when the king came in to look at the guests, he saw there was a man who had no wedding garment. And he said to him, "Friend, how did you get in here without a wedding garment?" And he was speechless. Then the king said to the attendants, "Bind him hand and foot and cast him into the outer darkness. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. For many are called, but few are chosen." It's interesting to me as Jesus compares the kingdom of heaven to this wedding feast, the main emphasis being on the invitation of Jesus and who gets to attend that feast. You ever, as you go through this, you see different types of responses to this invitation. You see this in verse number 3. They would not come. There are some who will not come at all. Then you see in verses 4 and 5 that they paid no attention to him. They did their own thing. Here, the call is to come and be part of this feast, this great feast, if you could say, in the kingdom of heaven. And they don't want a part of that. They're busy doing other things. And then there's those who are actually hostile to it in verse number 6. So they treated them shamefully, it says, and killed them. And of course, Jesus here is highlighting how the Jewish leaders in particular were handling God's invitation, you might say, to the kingdom of heaven. There are those who just outright don't want to listen. There are those who are too busy doing other things. And then in the case of what he really gets at with the religious leaders, they're hostile to the very thing that they think they're devoted to. And so you have this picture of what God does as he opens the kingdom, you might say, to Gentiles with the church that's going to come. So he goes, verse number 9, "Go therefore to the main roads and invite to the wedding feast as many as you find." And but even there, you had some like this individual that he highlights who sneaks, you might say, into the kingdom, but doesn't have the right apparel. He's not welcome to that feast. And of course, there's imagery there. Puritans have always pointed out that there's some imagery here, and I think rightly so, of not having the robes of righteousness that Christ provides. Without that, you're not really truly welcome to the feast. And so that person is kicked out. But the whole point of this passage is verse 14. "For many are called, but few are chosen." Yeah, all these people were called, but few are actually able to be at the feast. Few are actually chosen to be at the feast. And so I come to a passage like this. Number one, it's a discouragement in some ways because I go, oh, there's so many that are distracted. They're doing their own thing. They don't come to the wedding feast. They're trying to get there on their own righteousness. So it's kind of a discouraging type thing. But at the same time, it's an encouraging thing in that, our job is to be like the servants of the king, going out, proclaiming, come to the feast of Christ, come to his table. And those that come, we know, are those who are truly part of the kingdom, because although we call many, only few are chosen, only few have been ordained to come in. And so that's an encouragement, yet at the same time, we look around the world and we think, oh, why don't you come to Christ? But we can be encouraged as we share the gospel. We leave it up to the Lord. We let the Lord do his work, but we got to be out there. We got to be out there inviting people. So don't be too discouraged as you go out. Make sure we're going out. But as you go out, realize that the Lord has his plan. The kingdom of heaven is going to be a great feast one day, something I'm looking forward to. And I hope you are too. Have a wonderful day in the Lord, and be here on Sunday. Can't wait to hear Dan Freeman's message from Romans chapter 12. It's going to be a great chance to just encourage each one of us in the Lord. So have a wonderful, blessed day.